Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Drawing with Mr. Sepulveda. I'm Mr. Sepulveda.
And I'm Peyton.
And we're continuing to count down the 12 days of Christmas by creating 12 pieces of Christmas art. In yesterday's episode, we created a Christmas tree folding surprise. Peyton, can you let the viewers know what we'll be creating today?
Watercolor ornaments.
Watercolor ornaments. And what materials will we need?
A palette, a paper towel, some a watercolor palette, a water pen, and paper.
Awesome. So go ahead, pause the video, grab those materials, and when you're ready, come join us for a little bit of Christmas art. Alright, boys and girls, so Peyton and I are going to go ahead. You can go ahead and freehand your ornaments, but Peyton and I are going to go ahead and use just tape, something with a round surface or a round circle. You can use like roll of tape, you can use the lid of a cup, or you can go ahead and use a template that already has like circles on it. So use whatever you want to go ahead to start setting up your ornaments. We're going to do about 3 circles for our ornaments, okay? So give us a second to go ahead and trace those. Alright, cool. So we've got our ornaments traced out. I'm going to add on each one of these ornaments the little metal piece, right, that kind of hangs on them. So Peyton, draw this with me, okay? They're normally rectangular on top. So pretty much the little guy right here that holds all the string. It's going to look just like this, okay? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, now I know.
Alright, cool. Perfect. All right, and we're going to do the same thing to the other 2. All right, so we got our ornaments. Next thing we got to do is get our brushes loaded up with water. So Peyton and I are both using brushes that have water in the chamber, but you may need, in case you have a traditional brush, you may need a cup with water, clean water, and then also have a cup with dirty water. But since Peyton and I are using these, we already have our clean water here. So all we've got to do is kind of squeeze in here, right? We'll start off with our far right ornament first. So we'll just squeeze a little bit of water, just like that. Yep, and then we'll just spread it around. We want to keep it inside the circle, inside the ornament, okay? So make sure you stay inside the lines as best as possible. You can go up to the edges of the lines. And if you honestly go outside of the lines, it's really not a big deal, okay? There are ways to kind of fix the water portion with a dry brush or a towel or a sponge. There's other methods for being able to pick up any of that excess water that gets outside. Alright, so I got all my inside pretty much saturated with water. What about you? Almost there? Almost there?
And done.
Alright, and then this is the fun part. We get to choose colors, okay? I'm going to say we choose 2 colors for this ornament, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so you choose 2 colors to drop in. We'll start off with one first, okay? I'm thinking I'm going to go for a pink. A pinkish red is what I'm going to go for. What about you?
I don't know yet. Maybe like light, like blue.
Oh, go for it. Light blue? That sounds fun. All right.
This.
Yep, so real quick, so with these guys, right? You're going to want to mix the wet brush over it, and by doing it over and over, you're activating the paint and it becomes more saturated. And then we'll put it directly onto here, and you'll notice, like, as I drop, see, look at that paint, right? You see how it acts? It just starts to spread, starts to move around. It is cool, right? And we'll just start to kind of color around one half of this ornament, and we'll just kind of have fun with it. We'll kind of play with that color. We'll kind of spread it somewhere in here, right? So we'll kind of spread it as close to the edge without going over. But again, if you go over the edge, that's completely okay. Art should be fun, should be creative, expressive, you know, all the positives. Peyton's over here nodding like, yes, I agree. All right. So once I get to about maybe halfway or so, give or take, I'm going to change colors, okay? So I got maybe about half. And it's okay if you don't do it like me, where I'm breaking it in half like this, right? It's completely okay. You can, because it'll add some more patterns for you. I'm going to put this color into this water. I'm going to mix it and clean it off, okay? And then I'm going to use my towel and I'm going to dry it off, just to kind of get any of that excess paint off of it, okay? And then I'm going to choose another color. Since Peyton chose blue, I'm actually going to choose a blue right now. I'm actually going to use your color more or less. So I'm going to go ahead, activate my blue paint by just putting my brush in there with a little bit of water, right? If you squeeze a little bit of water out of your chamber, you can put it into that, into the cake. That's what we call these little colors, right? These are cakes for watercolor paint. And then look, I just get to spread it around and put it in here. And then watch how the two react. And it looks like it's kind of creating a little bit of purple here. Ooh, you got that purple color too. Yours looks kind of like lilac of some sort.
Yeah.
That looks really nice, actually. I got this like deep blue going into this like almost hot pink.
That's cool.
Looks cool, right? Trying to get it close to the edge without going over, and I'm trying to mix them in the middle. It'll make for an interesting ornament, I think.
Mine's like a little like Arctic thing or something.
Like Arctic. Ooh, I like that, which is perfect, right? Christmas time, right? And look, I get that purple too when I mix them here in the middle.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
Reminds me of cotton candy.
Cotton candy. This is my cotton candy ornament, and I completely planned that ahead. This was not an accident. Totally. Hopefully you believe me, right? But it does look really cool, so I'm just going to kind of color this up a little bit until I feel like I'm really satisfied with it. Alright guys, so we did our first ornaments. Now we're going to follow the same process with the other two, except we'll try to use different colors this time around, okay? So Peyton, what's your first color going to be?
I think I'm gonna do this like little sort of pink.
Like a light pink? I think I'm going to go for, let's go for a yellow. I'm going to go yellow. So we're going to add water into this ornament like we did before. We'll just paint with water. Or you can go directly into your cake and just use that instead. It all works pretty well the same, right? The technique we used for the first one was wet on wet. What Peyton's doing right now, she's doing wet on dry, which is a really cool technique. And you'll notice like the color's a little bit different than how the wet on wet goes, which is also really nice. And we'll see some differences here. Alright, so second color. I think I'm going to go orange. What are you going to go for?
I was thinking about it.
Were you thinking about orange? Hey, you know what they say about great minds, right?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm gonna do this light orange.
Like a light one? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to fill this in. I'm going to actually put this in like a weird swirl and kind of see what happens. And I think that's the beauty of working with watercolor paint. You can kind of mix and play around with it. Peyton and I were kind of talking before during the time lapse, like it's kind of therapeutic. It actually feels really good. Just kind of watching how the water responds, how the paint moves. So definitely enjoyable. And if you're joining us and you're drawing or painting live with us or with this video, hopefully you kind of feel the exact same thing. It's kind of like a calming type of mode. Alright guys, so we've got the second one down. Peyton, what did you tell me about that ornament? What was it looking like?
Arctic, and this one looks like a sunset.
So that one's looking like a sunset. Is this kind of sunrise, or it looks like the sun almost, I think.
Yeah.
I got the orangey yellow.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just like a lemon gone bad. I don't know, but it's looking kind of fun. We each got one more. We got one more of these ornaments. I'm thinking I'm gonna make this one a little bit more on the greener side, but I'm gonna do a little bit of green and maybe a little bit of a purple. I don't know, we're gonna try to find that mix out. What about you?
I'm gonna do this nude pink and maybe like this like magenta sort of color.
Okay, so like a nude pink and a magenta. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and add clean water on top of this like I did the other two, or close to clean water, I guess. And I'm just going to color in the inside with water before I lay down the paint. Are you going to do color first instead of putting down the water?
I put down the water and then I'm gonna like mix it.
Oh, okay. So you already did it in the palette. I like that. That's pretty cool. Kind of interesting is like this purple and green. I don't know how, but it's like making almost like a blue, maybe like a smoky or I don't know, like a wintry night sky color. I don't know. It's kind of interesting how like this paint's like reacting.
I don't know what to call it.
You know what to call that one?
Wait, Northern Lights.
Northern Lights. Ooh, I like that. What would you call your ornaments at home, guys? That's what I want to know. Are yours looking like ours? Are you using the same colors we are? Are you using different combinations? What combinations are you using? Definitely make sure by the end of this that you submit in some of that artwork to us using the email in the description down below. So Peyton and I finished our first layers of paint. We'll obviously kind of go back over with something else on top of it. We have options here. We can either put like metallic paint on top, or we can kind of go back over with some of our original colors. And we can do this in one of like a couple of phases, because we can also put designs inside of these ornaments when we're done. And of course we still have the little metal piece, the little metal clip that hangs them, and then of course the string that we have to create on top, okay? So we'll talk to you in just a second. All right, guys, now we're back. Our ornaments have dried off. So like we mentioned earlier, we can go ahead and go into this using some metallic paint. But when we use metallic paint, we want to be able to use a color that's close to what we've got, right? So if I use a purple because this one's purple, or if I use a pink because this is pink, I can kind of put it over the whole thing, even though there's a blue there, right? Because we want some of this to shine out, or yellow, or orange, or greenish for that one, right? Same thing for you. You can use kind of like a peachier color, an orangier color, right? A blue or purple color, things like that. Anything that you want to pop out. If you don't have metallic paints at home, that's okay. All you got to do is go back into your regular paints that you use to color these up, and you kind of just go back over it a second time just to kind of fill in any of the gaps, okay? But I will move this water. I'll move your water, sorry, okay? And this way we can both use the metallics at the same time. We'll just kind of keep it here. Okay, so we'll go ahead, we'll do our second coats for each of our ornaments, and you guys at home do the exact same thing. Alright, so Peyton and I just finished our second coat, so now we're just going to go ahead and let these dry up before we put designs, before we color up the metal piece, and of course adding in our strings. Alright guys, so our second coats are mostly dry for the most part. We'll concentrate on these little metal parts of the ornament, and I believe we're going to go ahead and use our yellow ochre colors. So it's kind of like a brownish yellow that we're going to grab. because it kind of mimics gold a little bit without us using a metallic gold. And most art sets and paint sets have them, so you can kind of see it's like a brownish yellow. It'll kind of look really nice on all of these ornaments, I think, for the most part. So we'll add them to all three. Now that we have our top parts of our ornaments done, right? We were talking about doing some designs, so we'll put in a few. We can use the color that we used on the bases of these guys. So I'll go ahead and I'll just kind of, and I believe this was the color green that I used. It's okay if it's not. What I'm going to do with this, and you can do this with me if you want for one of these guys. I'm going to just do a swirl pattern, so I'm going to be really light with it. And just kind of let it pattern off, right? So I kind of did like a swirl over here. Yeah, we'll use just the paint. And then we can kind of let little designs kind of come off of them. Okay. Yeah, and it doesn't have to have any rhyme or reason. They just kind of go with the flow wherever they want to go. Because they'll just dry off and they'll look a little bit more part of this ornament. We did a little swirl pattern, like your swirls. I try to do little hooky little things, kind of almost like a candy cane hook, but kind of did that. We're also going to be able to do some other things here. You may have seen it earlier. We have some Posca paint markers, and we can use these to kind of put some highlights or some stars or some snowflakes, or some stars, right? We kind of do that. I think this one's more galaxy for me, so I think this one's going to be my star one. And for this ornament, I'm going to treat it as if it was just a regular shiny object. So I'll pretend like the light is coming from the right side. And so all I got to do is put in a nice white line, kind of like that. And that gives me more than enough shine. If you want, you can put some dots on here. You can do a small one on this side, just in case, right? And that's all you need, right? And then if we want some stars, we can do them as dots, or we can do them as like little crisscross patterns, whatever it is that you really want. So I think for this one, I'll do one of those crisscross patterns. So I'll kind of do almost like an X, some other shapes in them. They kind of look like asterisks, they kind of look like stars. To me, they do, or like snowflakes, right? Yeah. Which is good because, you know, Christmas. It's right around the corner, guys. I can't wait. I'm excited. Loving this, and we're just about done, guys. Peyton, what's the last thing we need on this? We got our designs, we got our ornaments. What do ornaments need?
A little line.
A little string, right? And we're just gonna use black, I think, for this one. You could always use like a black pen or a black ink pen, but I think since we've been on watercolor this whole time, I'm just gonna keep going watercolor. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of water to my black watercolor cake. And for this one, I'm going to be really gentle with how I do it. I'm actually going to turn this paper over so that I can try to get a nice clean line as best as I can. It's okay if it's not perfect. I'm going to try to keep it thin. So I'm going to try to lift it as lightly as I can, light pressure, and then bring it up. Ooh, I started off pretty good right over there, and then I got thicker. You did what I thought I was going to start off with, a little thicker. But you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll do it again with the other one.
Oopsies.
There we go. It's okay if it blends in there. We'll get you. We'll get you. And then we'll do it onto this one as well. Good. This one I kind of went a little bit thicker, but we'll be all right. We'll just add a little bit more that way. And I think I'm going to do it for this one. I know I thought I got it semi-perfect. That's okay. I'm actually just going to, whoops, go all the way up top. There it is. Hey.
Yes.
Okay. And if you feel like you make a mistake, like you know how the watercolors bleed in, which is completely okay. What you could do is if you try to dry off your brush enough, you can kind of tap it in here, and you can suck it up a little bit, and just kind of keep brushing it off on here.
Like this?
Kind of like that, right? Like and make sure it's dry enough, because then if it's dry enough, see, it'll pick it up.
Then you just go over.
Yeah, and you go over it with what color? Do you remember the color? Yeah, that color.
Thing.
Yeah, the yellow ochre. Yes. So that'll help us retouch this back up without feeling like we messed up at all, okay? So go ahead, we'll fix that real quick. All right, I think these came out really well. Peyton, I really do love this one in the corner. I love the color, and this one's really cool, like the swirl design. I love it.
I like this one. It reminds me of a hippie.
Oh, because they kind of look like flowers and not snowflakes. I think I went one too many extra lines on it, but I think, hey, whatever. It started off as cotton candy. Now it's a little bit more floral. It looks really cool. Yes, absolutely. And Peyton, did you enjoy this? Did you have fun?
Yes, thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay, what was your favorite part?
I liked when we started like doing the watercolor effect and the metallic stuff.
Ooh, so you love the watercolor and then adding the metallics. I love that too. I enjoyed kind of blending two colors together for each ornament because we could have easily just done one color for each, but I think blending them out makes it so much more fun and unique, and you end up with things you didn't think you were going to end up with. Like, there's no way I thought this was going to end up looking like this. I thought it was going to be a lot more duller and a little bit more purpley gray because the green wasn't popping until I went back in it with more green. So I thought that was a lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys created some amazing pieces of art like we did, please go ahead and submit in your art piece that you created to the email in the description down below. And we will see you tomorrow as we continue to count down the 12 days of Christmas as we create Santa stuck in a chimney. You're not going to want to miss out there. We will see you tomorrow. You guys have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.